Welcome to Sleep with Myth. Close your eyes and let the world fade away. Tonight we drift beyond time, where gods dream and stories remember their light. The river that moved like memory, before mountains learned to stand still and before stars knew their names. There was a river unlike any other. It glimmered with liquid moonlight, coiling through the world like a great silver serpent. People said it was alive. Others whispered it was dreaming. But only a few knew the truth. The river did not flow through the world. The world flowed through the river. Time bent around it like soft metal. Moments slid along its currents like drifting leaves. Some from the present, some from ages yet unborn. And tonight, a single traveler would place his foot on its shimmering edge. The boy who heard the river sing. Lyron had heard the river's voice since he was a child. While other children listened to wind, birds, and the hum of insects, he heard something deeper, a soft, silver hum beneath the world, a melody that did not quite belong to the present moment. It echoed behind sounds, behind thoughts, behind breath. His grandmother would smile knowingly whenever he froze mid-step, head tilted. "You hear the serpent river," she would say. "Most only see its water, but you hear its memory." She would tap her forehead gently. "Only those born with a fractured clock inside them can hear such things." Lyron never understood what she meant. Not then. But now, at 17, he felt that hum louder than ever. So loud it trembled in his bones. Tonight, the village gathered at the edge of the Silver Serpent. Once every lifetime, the river uncurled a single path of luminous stones, stepping stones that stretched into the mist. A calling, a test, promise. No one knew where the path led. Those who stepped onto it vanished into the fog like sparks into night. Some returned years later, untouched by age. Some returned minutes later, carrying the weight of centuries in their eyes. And some never returned at all. The path of silver stones. The mist peeled back like a curtain. A line of glowing stones unfurled across the river's surface, each one shimmering like a frozen moon. The elders gasped. Children pointed. Mothers whispered prayers. But the river was not calling to them. It was calling to him. Lyron felt it in his ribs, in the pulse behind his eyes, in the strange trembling in his fingertips. The Silver Serpent was singing directly to him, a low, endless note that resonated with his heartbeat. His grandmother squeezed his hand. "It chooses you, child," she murmured, "as it once chose me." Lyron turned sharply. "You? You walked the path." Her eyes glimmered with secrets. "I walked its edge," she whispered, "but I did not dare step fully into its dream." She released his hand slowly, as if letting go of something far older than fear. "You must go further." The first step. The mist deepened, swirling like living breath. The river's glow brightened until it painted Lyron's skin with silver fire. He stepped toward the first stone, the cold touch of its light crawling up his leg. A hush swept the shore. People leaned forward. His grandmother closed her eyes. The river hummed louder, louder, until the world felt too small to contain the sound. Lyron inhaled and stepped onto the stone. The mist roared upward, swallowing the village. The river surged like a coiled serpent awakened. For an instant, Lyran saw dozens of reflections on the water. Some older, some younger, some not him at all. Then the reflections shattered like glass. The river curved. The world bent. Time exhaled. And Lyran disappeared into the Silver Serpent's dream. The mist that remembered faces. Time did not break around Lyran. Folded. The moment his foot touched the second glowing stone, the mist swelled with a pulse like a heartbeat. One deep, ancient, impossibly slow. The world behind him dissolved into silver fog, pulling away sound, warmth, and memory as gently as a tide slipping from the shore. He tried to breathe, but each inhalation felt like a memory entering him rather than air. The mist shifted shape, twisting into faint silhouettes. Faces he knew, faces he didn't, and faces that might never exist at all. His own reflection flickered among them. Older, younger, changed, scarred, smiling, crying. Each version drifted like lanterns, illuminating the path and vanishing again. For the first time, Lyran understood. The Silver Serpent did not show the future. It showed possibilities moments time had not yet chosen. The stones hummed beneath his feet, urging him forward. He stepped onto the third stone. The mist parted. A riverbank appeared, but not one he recognized. The shore beyond all seasons. The air tasted different, tasted like memories he hadn't made yet. He stood on a vast silver shore, sand stretching endlessly beneath a sky glowing with both dawn and dusk. No sun, no moon, only a suspended, shifting light. The Silver Serpent flowed beside him, wider now, deeper, coiling like a sleeping creature beneath its own reflection. Where water touched sand, time warped gently. Waves rolled forward and backward, leaving footprints that reversed themselves, then vanished. Lyran's own print formed before he stepped. "This is not my world." A soft voice answered, "No, but it could be." The woman of the shifting sky. A woman appeared behind him, hair rising upward as if pulled by the sky. Her silver eyes held the glow of a star remembering its birth. Her mantle shimmered between ages, new, old, unstitched. "Who are you?" Lyran asked. "I have had many names," she said. "But once I was called Astrea." His grandmother had spoken that name only once. "You're real as anything that has touched the river." She stepped closer. "You hear its song." Lyran nodded. "Since I was a child. The river has claimed you. It has been long since another dreamwalker crossed." "Dreamwalker?" She lifted her hand. The sand rippled, showing shimmering figures. Travelers like Lyran walking the river path. Some returned, some fractured, some vanished. Those who walk the river must move through the dreams of time without losing themselves. And if they fail, the images dissolved into dust. They fade into a path that never belonged to them. The river speaks in currents. The ground trembled. The river stirred, turning its invisible head toward Lyran. "It grows impatient," Astrea said. "It wishes to test you." "Test me." The serpent reshapes travelers. It unwinds forgotten choices, shows pieces of yourself you've never seen. I didn't come for power, Lyran whispered. I just felt its call. That is why it chose you. She gestured. Listen. Lyran closed his eyes. The hum he always heard roared now, whined through a canyon, shaking the air around his heart. Beneath it came a whisper, his name, spoken by his own voice. Older, tired, wise. He staggered. The river is showing you a version of yourself who reached it long before or long after. Time here is not a road. It is the sea, the first vision. The sky shattered. The sand dissolved. The river swallowed him. When the light dimmed, he was in his own forest, years younger. He watched himself play with a girl he barely remembered. A sister, but not one he ever had. What is this? A life that might have formed if a single moment had changed, Astria whispered. The girl's laughter echoed. Then she faded into silver dust. Why show me someone who never existed? Lyran cried. To teach you that time is a tapestry of threads never woven. The second vision, the man at the waterfall. The forest vanished. A waterfall appeared, glowing like liquid moonlight. A man stood there, older, scarred, weary. Lyran's breath caught. It was him. The older Lyran whispered to the glowing water, searching for something in the current. He suddenly turned. Their eyes met. Do not let the river decide for you, older Lyran said. He dissolved into mist. The fear that followed. No more, Lyran whispered, trembling. I never asked for this. Astria emerged beside him. Fear is part of the dream. Walk only among what you know, you never grow. Walk only among what might be, you never return. What if I lose myself? You are Lyran, she said, placing a hand over his heart. No thread of time can take that unless you give it away. The path moves again. The glowing stones returned, curving deeper into the river's heart. Astria stepped back. You are ready for the next bend. What's waiting there? The moment where your life first broke. What moment? You will know it when you face it. The river glowed. The hum rose. Lyran stepped forward, and the Silver Serpent opened its jaws of light. The river that turned into memory. The world did not change gradually. It snapped. One moment Lyran was stepping onto the next glowing stone. The next, he stood in a place impossibly familiar. So familiar the air itself whispered his name like a childhood friend. A valley, a sky swollen with storm clouds, a river smaller than the Silver Serpent, but human, warm, real. This is my village, except it wasn't. Not truly. The houses were wrong. Slightly shifted, softened, faded like memories trying to rebuild themselves. Shadows stretched too long. Colors were too pale. The air hummed with a trembling tension, like a string pulled too tight. Then, a scream. Young, sharp, terrified. Lyran froze. No, this can't be. But it was. The river had brought him to the moment he never spoke of. Astria's voice echoed faintly. Every dreamwalker faces the bend where their life cracked. It wasn't a crack, Lyran whispered. It was a fracture. The day of the storm. The sky darkened into near night as he walked through the imitation of his childhood home. The people were vague shapes like blurred memories, but the child running toward the river was crystal clear. Himself, 10 years old. Lightning tore across the sky. Thunder shook the valley. Wind screamed. Young Lyran shouted, "Mother! Wait! Please wait!" His mother stood at the riverbank, clutching a bundle far too still. Rain hammered down. The ground slid into mud. Lyran's breath broke. No! Rian! The sister who never survived. The infant wrapped in blue cloth did not move. His mother screamed at the storm. "You can't have her. You can't take her from me." The older Lyran trembled. Lightning flashed. His mother fell to her knees, clutching the lifeless child. "Please," she begged the sky. "Let her breathe, please." Young Lyran reached her, crying, "I'm sorry. I wasn't fast enough." His mother pulled him close. "You did nothing wrong." But the boy had already decided. "I wasn't enough." The river whispered it back. "I wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. I wasn't enough." "Stop!" Lyran gasped. "Please stop." The shadow of the Silver Serpent. Time froze. Raindrops hung in the air. The wind halted mid-roar. A massive silver shadow, serpent-shaped, glided through the clouds. The river itself had entered the memory. Astrea whispered, "The river does not create pain. It reveals the root from which your path grew crooked." "My path isn't crooked." Silence. "I was only a child." "Yes, a child who believed the storm took his sister because he ran too late." The words crushed him. The choice that shaped him. The vision dissolved into silver smoke. Astrea appeared beside him. "You carried this moment in your bones. I couldn't save her. You were 10. The river does not ask children to save storms. But everything I became, all of it grew from this moment." Yes, you searched for meaning, for control, for understanding. You listened to the river because you wanted to understand the thing that took her away. Astrea lifted his chin. "The river did not choose you because you are broken, Lyran. It chose you because you are brave enough to face where you broke." The test within the test. The storm dissolved. The river appeared again, endless, glowing. 3 paths surfaced. One folding inward. One twisting upward. One bending outward into darkness. Astrea stepped back. "Choose your bend in time. Who will you become after facing your fracture?" Lyran stepped forward. "Remember," she said softly, "what your future self told you. Do not let the river decide for you." He placed his foot on the first stone of his chosen path, and the Silver Serpent roared with light. The 3 bends of possibility. The moment Lyran stepped onto the first stone, the river around him changed shape. Not in the way rivers usually change, through erosion or flood. This change was instantaneous, dreamlike, and deliberate. The Silver Serpent coiled inward, narrowing its enormous shape until the river path looked almost like the inside of an hourglass. Wide on both ends, pinched at the center. Lyran stood at that pinched center. The 3 paths before him pulsed with different shades of silver. A left path, moonlit silver, calm, looping inward, a future shaped by reflection. A middle path, rising silver, spiraling upward, a future shaped by ambition, a right path, shadowed silver, stretching into fog, a future shaped by the unknown. But something felt wrong. The Silver Serpent hummed, not as a guide, but as a warning. Astrea watched him from the edge of the river's dream, her form wavering like a flame caught between worlds. "You must pick a path," she said softly. But when Lyron lifted his foot to choose, the stones shifted. The path he had been about to step onto twisted away like a slipping thought. "I didn't choose that," Lyron whispered. Astrea's expression tightened. "The river is testing your certainty. The path of moonlight, the future of stillness." Without warning, the left path, moonlit silver, dragged Lyron forward. The world dissolved into soft light. He stood on a quiet cliff overlooking a gentle sea. Waves rolled in slow motion, glowing like molten pearl. Far below, a solitary house sat beside the water, warm lamplight shining from its windows. A single figure walked along the shore, older than Lyron, calmer, carrying a staff carved with symbols of memory. A life of solitude, a life of stillness, a life without ambition or burden. The older version of Lyron knelt and touched the water. The sea shimmered, showing images, memories he had collected, stories he had preserved, lives he had studied through time's gentle folds. "This future is peaceful, but empty. I became a watcher of time rather than a part of it." Lyron stepped closer. "You don't seem unhappy." "Unhappy? No." The older Lyron smiled faintly. "But I built a life where nothing can hurt me, because I feared feeling loss again." The shoreline dissolved. "This is the future of stillness, safe, quiet, untouched by risk or love." "This isn't who I want to be," Lyron whispered. The vision shattered like moonlight breaking against water. The path of ascent, the future of power. The middle path seized Lyron next. He was thrown upward, into a sky of spiraling silver currents. Wind roared around him. He landed at the base of an enormous stone archway. Ancient symbols glowed on its surface. Time radiated from it in waves, bending the air around it. A group of robed figures stood before him, teachers, sages, dreamwalkers, and at their center stood an older Lyron, powerful, confident, eyes glowing with river light. A voice boomed, "Lyron of the serpent's dream, keeper of the temporal gates." The older Lyron lifted his hand. Reality bent around him like soft cloth. Moments swirled behind him, past, present, future. "In this future you master the river. You become its voice, its chosen champion." Lyron watched, awed and horrified. "You can reshape timelines?" "No," older Lyron said softly. "I can influence their edges. But mastery has a price." "What price?" He stepped aside. A crystal seat stood behind him, glorious, radiant, and agonizingly isolated. "I no longer walk among people. They fear me, or worship me. Both are cages. When you hold power over time, you lose your place within it." The vision cracked and faded. The path of shadow, the future without form. The rightmost path reached for him like a hand in the dark. Mist swallowed his vision. cold, silent, echoing. Estria's voice grew faint. Be careful. This path is not meant to be walked fully. There was no ground, no sky, no river, just vast emptiness, humming with unfinished time. A shape moved. Someone. Himself. But incomplete. A shadow Lyran flickered, features melting and reforming. I am the version of you that never chose. I am what remains when possibility dissolves into nothing. This isn't a future. This is oblivion. A future without direction is no future at all. The void pulled him in. No! Lyran shouted. I won't disappear. Fight it! Estria cried. He pushed back with everything inside him. Light erupted. The shadow dissolved. Lyran collapsed onto the stones, gasping. The path that refused choice. Estria knelt beside him. You survived the future of unmade selves. Few do. I saw 3 futures, and I didn't choose any of them, because none belonged to you. The river wanted to see if you would surrender to what it showed, or carve your own shape. So what now? Now you walk the 4th path. There is no 4th path. Not yet, Estria said. But dreamwalkers do not follow paths. They create them. The Silver Serpent reared above the water, enormous and luminous. Speak your truth, Lyran. Tell the river what kind of future you seek. Lyran closed his eyes. He saw everything. His mother, his sister, the lives he might live, the man he might become, the shadow he could fade into. I choose a future where I am not shaped by fear, nor by power, nor by emptiness. I choose to remain myself, whoever that becomes. I choose a path the river has not yet dreamed. The serpent lowered its head. A droplet of silver fell onto the stone. A new stone formed. Then another. Then another. This is your path, Lyran. The path only you can shape. He stepped onto it. He stepped onto it. The serpent roared in approval. And the river bent, not to command him, but to follow. The 4th path. The one without a map. When Lyran stepped onto the first stone of the 4th path, the river hesitated. Not with doubt, with curiosity. The Silver Serpent, massive, shimmering, ancient beyond ages, lowered its luminous head as if examining the tiny, fragile being who dared to create a future time itself had never considered. The river bent around him, coils of silver current spiraling open like a blooming flower. Estria watched from the threshold of the mist, her expression unreadable. This is rare, she whispered to the serpent. He is drawing a path rather than reading one. Lyran turned. You mean this has never happened before? Estria tilted her head. Oh, it has happened, but not often, and never without consequence. Still, he took another step. The new stone glowed in response, as if pleased. The path continued forming only as he moved, stone by stone. Behind him, the other 3 paths closed like doors that had never existed. The river begins the trial of truth. The serpent slid into the sky above him, coiling like an enormous ribbon of moonlight. A tremor ran through the riverbed. Estria's voice reached him faintly. Be mindful. The 4th path does not show possibilities. It shows truth. Truth about what you carry, and truth about what time requires from you. What time requires? Lyran echoed. The river does not bend for anyone, Astrea said softly, but it listens to those brave enough to speak. The glowing stone beneath Lyran's feet pulsed, and the world inverted. The hourglass of the world. The sky dropped away. The river vanished. Lyran found himself floating in a vast chamber with no walls. Only two massive celestial hourglasses suspended in darkness. One stood upright, filled with grains of silver light. The other was shattered, broken at its neck, spilling glowing grains into the void. What is this place? Lyran whispered. Astrea appeared beside him. This is the hourglass of ages, where the river keeps balance between what was, what is, and what must be. Why two? That, she pointed to the intact one, is the hourglass of the world. She pointed to the shattered one. And that is the hourglass of the forgotten. Moments lost, choices unmade, paths broken by fear or tragedy. Rian, his sister, his guilt, his fracture. Astrea touched his chest. You carry more of the forgotten than most. The shadow of what he could have been. Another figure formed. A complete Lyran, whole, warm, grounded. A Lyran untouched by guilt. He held a lantern with golden flame. Who is he? Lyran whispered. He is who you might have become if your childhood fracture had never happened. Pain struck him. The alternate Lyran offered the lantern. Take it, Astrea whispered. Take the life you never had. Lyran reached, but stopped. No, it isn't my life. The lantern dimmed. The alternate Lyran bowed gently and faded. You passed the first truth, Astrea whispered. The serpent descends. A mighty rumble shook the void. The silver serpent descended into the chamber, coils glowing with starlight. Its eyes focused entirely on Lyran. Astrea stepped back. The serpent will now judge your truth. Remain firm. If you falter, the river will reclaim you. The serpent opened its jaws, not in threat, but invitation. A vortex of silver light poured forth. I'm ready, Lyran whispered. He stepped into the light. The moment outside all moments. Inside the vortex, images spun. His mother's laughter. His grandmother's teachings. Rian's death. Years of guilt. Visions of power. Visions of emptiness. Moments he had yet to live. Moments he might never reach. Time was a vast tapestry. He was a single thread. The serpent's voice thundered. Who are you? It wasn't asking for his name. Are you fear? No. Are you power? No. Are you nothing? No. Then what are you? Lyran steadied himself. I am someone who chooses. I am not fear. I am not power. I am not emptiness. I live because I choose to live. The vortex erupted in silver. The serpent roared in triumph. The hourglass begins to repair. The chamber reformed. The shattered hourglass trembled. A single crack closed. Then another. Astrea gasped. You repaired time itself. No, Lyran said softly. I only stopped letting my broken parts rule me. The hourglass glowed warmly. The serpent lowered its head, exhaling a breath like moonlit wind. A new stone formed beneath Lyran's feet. "You have one last path to walk," Astrea whispered. Lyran looked at the forming gateway of flowing riverlight. "What lies ahead?" "The place where the serpent itself dreams," Astrea said. "No mortal has ever walked there." Lyran inhaled deeply and stepped forward. The river bent and followed. The gate of living riverlight. The gate formed like a breath, expanding, shimmering, settling into moonlit shape. Its edges rippled like water holding unborn stars. Lyran stepped forward, the river curling around him in spirals of silver encouragement. Astrea stood at the gate's edge. "Beyond this lies the serpent's dream. I cannot enter. You can't come with me? I am bound to the river. You are not." The serpent lowered its head. "Enter, and be known." Lyran stepped through. The heart of the serpent. No world awaited, only an ocean of silver dream stuff swirling in endless spirals. Beneath it floated the serpent's true form. Scales like continents, coils like galaxies. "You walk a path of your own making, so I show you what is made of you." The three roots of his existence. Three pillars rose. The root of love, his mother's tenderness, grief, strength. The root of fear, the storm, the late running, the guilt he mistook for duty. The root of choice, refusing shadows, choosing existence. The pillars merged into his full reflection. You are not the broken past, nor the promised future. You are the moment of choosing, the burden the serpent carries. A massive chain surfaced, wrapped around the serpent's neck. You're bound. Time dreams, and dreams become burdens when they hold all possibilities alone. You want me to unbind you. Hope pulsed. The trial of release. The chain cracked. Guilt, fear, Rian's voice all surged. You cannot free me. While you remain a prisoner of your own past. I release myself. I release my past. The chain shattered. The gift of the river. For what you have freed. You are given the dreamer's gift. Walk through time as one who chooses. A scale fell into his hand, warm, alive. Return, Astrea whispered. The return. The river reformed. The village night returned. You came back whole, Astrea said. What now? Live, as one who chooses. The Silver Serpent hummed, free. For the first time, time felt open. He stepped into the dawn of the life he chose. The end.